Good morning, everyone. Or actually, good evening from me because I'm still getting used to the whole time zone. It's actually kind of like my nap time right now. So if I fall asleep while talking halfway, blame it on Mexico. I'm here today to talk about why I left Singapore, a safe, clean, rich country, to become a digital nomad and live. Right now, I'm based in Mexico, in Latin America, and just kind of living the dream. So I'm going to start off with this slide because I'm sure some of you, before arriving here, must be wondering, what in the world is a digital nomad? Yesterday, someone mentioned it was like a space alien something. So this is a common question I always get from my website, what exactly does a digital nomad do? Even my mom doesn't know what I do. So if you long to escape your 9-to-5 job, to just kind of travel a little bit more, to spend more time with your family, with your kids, to basically have your work revolve around your life and not your life revolve around your work, then you are actually not alone. There's a whole group of us. I make it sound like a cult, but it's not. There's a whole group of us. We're called digital nomads. We essentially combine our passion for traveling, our bucket list, with a career, with regular income, and we are called digital nomads. So the dictionary defines us as a digital nomad is someone who leverages technology and the internet to work remotely and more generally conduct their lifestyle in a nomadic manner. So as you can see me here, I'm in some random cafe in Mexico, enjoying 2 cakes and 1 coffee, and just kind of like having the best time of my life. I don't think I've ever been this happy working in Singapore, but ever since I left home, I love working a lot. This just kind of sustains me through the day. So my lifestyle these days is kind of like this. I'm very lucky to be able to work for myself and work anytime I want, wherever I want. Just kind of have my work kind of fit around, the day, how I want it to go. So a little background, more than 2 years ago, I left my career in advertising to kind of start my own business. And I was working out of Starbucks and cafes in Singapore, and I'll just park myself in one corner and just start working. And then one day, it kind of hit me. Why am I paying $6.50 to buy coffee and sit in a cafe in Singapore, one of the most expensive countries in the world, when I could be, paying $1 or $2, in a cheaper city, having the same quality of life, doing the same thing, and still travel. I used to travel a lot. After I left school, the first thing I did was not to find a job. The first thing I did was to move to Thailand, live there for a year with my savings, in order to learn Thai and Muay Thai. And thereafter, I kind of backpacked Europe for a year. I did most of Asia as well. But because I was starting my business and, the concept is when you're having a business, you shouldn't travel. You should save all your money, put into your business. And so I was based in Singapore, and I just felt really trapped. And, and when the realization hit me that, why am I living in one of the most expensive cities in the world when I could be paying the same amount or lesser while traveling the world? And when that realization hit me, I was like, I'm moving. I am getting out of Singapore, the next flight out. Of course, I'm very lucky because, unlike some of you, I do not have family obligations. I do not have a mortgage to pay. I don't drive, so I don't have a car loan. I have no student loans. And so I was able to just kind of pack up my stuff, sold my stuff, and left. So these days, I basically live the same life I would back home, but in a much more beautiful place. So this was just taken very recently, and this is probably one of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen in my travel. This is in San Juan del Sur in Nicaragua, and my hotel was right across the beach, and I I just finished work one day at 6 p.m. I walked out for dinner and I saw this beautiful sunset and I thought to myself, man, at 6 p.m. in Singapore, I would never be out of the office to catch any sunset. Now I managed to see this, and it just surprises me every time I'm able to capture moments like this in my life. This is the epic shot that every time you Google digital nomad, you will see a picture of a laptop in front of a lagoon or a beach or something, which, by the way, I very rarely work like this because it's too hot. It actually burns up my laptop. And there are no plugs and no internet. So this is actually a fake shot. It's posed. But yeah, so I'm a digital nomad, so I do have to work while I travel. And what I do these days to support myself, I'm actually a freelance marketer and social media marketer. I also earn money through my websites, Women Digital Nomads being one of them. I'm a freelance writer, just started a boutique agency, branding, design, marketing with my partner. So there are a few things that I do to make money. This picture paints a false image of being a digital nomad. The life I'm leading right now is not a vacation, and you need to know that if you're thinking of quitting your job to travel, and you have this beautiful image in your mind that, oh, I'll be traveling all the time, exploring new cities. No. The fact is I work many hours a day, but the good thing is I'm not working 8 hours straight in an office in a cubicle, but neither am I traveling all the time. I work and travel at the same time. I can't do one without the other. And sure, I may be in a new and exciting place, every once in a while I'm moving. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to balancing your priorities and setting aside time for work. So yesterday I was talking with one of the volunteers, and she was telling me that she has a hard time concentrating when she's trying to work from a cafe or study from a cafe. But the fact is, if you cannot concentrate, thankfully there are spaces like co-working spaces, or you can work from your apartment. The fact is, if you cannot concentrate and you cannot work, you don't get paid, and when you don't get paid, you have to go home. So you have to figure out a way to concentrate and prioritize your time. For myself, when I know that I have a deadline coming up or I have a project, I basically don't travel that much. I base myself in one spot in order to finish up my work. But when I do have the time, that's when my lifestyle becomes amazing. I can literally buy a ticket out and, I just, instead of applying for leave 2 weeks in advance and praying to God that my boss will accept, and approve my leave, I don't have to ask anyone to do anything anymore. Yes. So I've been very lucky to call many cities and countries my home. I've lived right now I'm living in Mexico City for the past 6 to 8 months. I've called Peru my home, Colombia my home. I worked out of many other countries as well. This is actually a picture of me and my flatmate in Medellin, Colombia. So for all of you who don't know, Medellin is actually a very popular city with remote workers like myself. And just coincidentally, this Airbnb house that I rented, all 5 of us were digital nomads. So he's actually a consultant. And it's really kind of interesting because there's this atmosphere in our house. We would wake up and someone would already be working, and we'd be so inspired. And I think I had a business idea that was formed during this period of time as well, like Kelly, business ideas popping up all the time. So I've had a chance to experience many different places, new culture, new food. But more importantly, I've had the chance to meet many other women digital nomads. So if you travel a lot, you realize that the bulk of travelers are actually guys, and there's a much smaller percentage of women travelers, whether it's backpackers or just leisure travelers or business travelers or digital nomads. So when I was in Medellin, I actually met this amazing bunch of women, 2 of them being my flatmates, who were just living the same lifestyle as I was. And not all of us were the typical digital nomads like programmers, designers, writers. One of them is she used to work for Facebook remotely. Now she's a travel agent, so she's a corporate travel agent. She books all your travel itinerary, but she works online. Another is she's an e-commerce store owner, and she makes like 4,000 or 5,000 pounds a month. Another is a web designer. Another is a recruiter for real estate agents, believe it or not. Another is a blogger and a writer and an English teacher as well online. And then you have me. So it's kind of a huge, diverse group of us, and that kind of just opened my eyes to the fact that there are much more things that we can do online than just the usual typical jobs that we know of. So, of course, living the life, it sounds so glamorous, and my friends are always so envious whenever I post pictures. I do it only to make you guys envious, but they just don't know it yet. But there are actually a lot of challenges that come with this lifestyle, this mobile lifestyle that I lead. And it's not for everyone, and I never say that being a digital nomad is the best way to travel or is the only way to travel. One of the challenges that I face is, I talked a little bit about this yesterday, it's kind of being away from my family and friends when important events are happening in their lives. I have a group of really close friends that I grew up with since I was 7, and all of them got married the past couple of years, and I've never been to any one of their weddings. I saved a lot of money because Chinese weddings are really expensive, but missed out on all these important moments in their lives. It's also difficult to adjust to new cultures, new language. Like, I speak Spanish now, but when I first got there, I spoke nothing. Couldn't order anything for the first week. I did not even dare to leave my house. And mind you, I already traveled so much in my life. You'd think I would have gotten used to it by now, but no. And then new cultures, new mentality. In Latin America, there's still a very patriarchy kind of mentality, and to this day, I'm still struggling to understand why they think the way they do. But that's the biggest challenge, just trying to change my mindset and open my eyes to new thoughts, new lifestyle, new upbringings that other countries have that I wasn't aware of when I grew up in Singapore. And of course, personally for me, the biggest challenge is always trying to find high-speed internet connection. This is ridiculous. Like, I would fall in love with a city, but the moment I check into my apartment and there's no internet, I'm like, I have to move out, I have to move on. So that has always been a problem for me. I guess at the end of the day, what I'm trying to achieve with my life, and this is for my mom, who's going to watch this later, what I'm trying to achieve in my life is to live my life to its fullest. For myself, I never saw myself as a girl who would grow up in Singapore and then die in Singapore with the CPF that I have accumulated for 60 years of work. It just wasn't the life that I wanted to lead. And so, for me, being a digital nomad is awesome because I never thought that this was possible. I never knew that you could work online while traveling. Like, I knew you could volunteer in farms and pick apples. I didn't really want to pick apples. I don't really like manual, like hard work. So, knowing that I could work online, getting paid to do the things that I love, it changed my life entirely. And of course, at this point, I'm turning 30 in January, so I'm starting to feel like I wanna have a temporary base for myself. So I'm also using this opportunity while I travel Latin America to kind of find a spot or spots where I might want to base myself in the future, even if it's just for a couple of months each year. New environments inspire me. So every time I get to a new city, I feel very inspired, whether is it to write a new article for my website. Right now, I'm writing a guide for Penang for digital nomads, the best cafes to work out of and everything. It always inspires me. And traveling inspires you, whether it inspires you to start a new business, inspires you to try new food, inspires you to learn a new language, inspires you to think beyond what you've been taught is right. Traveling does that to a person. And with traveling, you really honestly have nothing to lose, money, and everything to gain. At the end of the day, you meet a lot of awesome people, you meet locals, you meet kind souls who will take you in, who will feed you. I never had that experience, but apparently it exists, and I hope to experience that one day. Looking back, I am very lucky, and I've realized that I'm only able to do what I do because I have this valuable commodity in my life called time. And some of us have more time now, and some of us have lesser time. And time is so precious because without this commodity, we honestly can't travel. Even if we have the money to, we can't travel. And so I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to have the commodity of time. I'm very blessed to have the passport that I hold because it reduces the visas that I have to apply for. And I acknowledge that I'm blessed because I'm from a certain country that other countries are like, okay, you're from Singapore, so you're fine, you can enter my country. I know other people, other travelers who have had a harder time entering countries because they're from certain countries and they just get black marked, even though they don't deserve it. And so I know I'm blessed, and I've gained a greater appreciation of myself, of my family, of my life, and of the things that I've been blessed with. And so I guess I'll end this very, very brief and quick presentation about my life with this thought that if you out there, any one of you, have been thinking about taking time or quitting your job, your 9-to-5 job, 9 to 7, to travel more, to spend more time with your family, to go out and skydive, hike through mountains and while still working and still having an income. My advice to you is do it. It's actually not as difficult as you imagine. Being a digital nomad, to get started, it sounds scary, like, oh my gosh, how do I get started? But it really isn't. And not to plug my workshop, but my workshop later, I'll be talking a little bit more details about how you actually get started with actual tips on how to get started. So if you are keen to kind of learn how to transition from a full-time job right now, take it online, or if you're not working at the moment and thinking about how do I start a freelance job or how do I find something online, sign up for my workshop. It's you can sign up right outside, and I will share with you guys more details. And thank you so much for your time, and I hope it inspires you. Thank you.